think I'm gonna name this one Zaza, because I'm on the Z's and I can't think of another name that begins with Z, so I'm gonna call it Zaza. And this is a Bolens mower that I got traded in on another one. He said it ran a couple of years ago, but had a broken pull string, which I've stripped out of the rewinder. That's why the rewinder is off. And I cleaned the crud out of the starter cup there because I wanted to take it off and find out if the flywheel key was okay. I generally like to check that just before I do much else. I got a big old toolbox on the engine brake, and it is rusty, so it popped off the little clamp there that holds it in place. That's what happens. It's too much pressure because it's rusted, and it pulls that off. But it did pull just enough of the brake off to where I could turn the flywheel. And there may be other things wrong with this mower, but the blade looks okay, and the crankshaft isn't bent. That's one of the other things I check for, to look for wobble in that screw. If it wobbles, then that means the crankshaft is bent, and I've got my work cut out for me. But I want you to hear this, because this is one of the things that is wrong with this mower. See, it's got compression, everything's going good. You hear that? Gee, I wonder what that is. So I thought, well, maybe it's just, hadn't run in 2 years, so I squirted some WD-40 there around the crankshaft, but that's not it. So listen again. Okay, and this is what it is. It's right there. Somehow, some way, someone has closed the air gap. So there's no way this mower is going to run. It's not going to get good spark because there's no air gap. The flywheel key is rubbing against the two arms of the coil. It'll probably be a little louder. So listen to this now. Okay, so everything's fine. Then it comes around, and right here. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to do, is set the air gap on this. So let's do that. Get my toolbox off the handle. I'm going to set this dirty, ugly little mower flat on the operating table, and we're going to check a couple of things on it. First, I want to make sure it's got some oil in it, so let's check that. Let me get my oil set up here. There we go. So my dipstick is right here on this type of mower. And so let's get the dipstick out and see. Now I did tilt it back. So there's going to be oil all over the dipstick. I'll have to wipe it and then check it. And once we do check this, there's a little bit of oil in there. Let's see. And the good thing is it's not horribly black. It's still kind of the color of honey. So that's always encouraging. Drop that back in there. Thread it in. You got to thread it in on the Briggs and Stratton. On Hondas, you don't. Okay, there is. It's kind of hard to read because I tilted it back. Let me do it again. Okay, it's barely showing on the stick. So it's definitely in the add zone because it's got the little word add covered up. Let's check it one more time. Now I'm seeing a little more on the stick. So I think what I'll do with this is maybe come back and check this after it's kind of had time to settle down. Since I tilted it back, I'm going to let that just kind of sit there for a while we check this coil. Now to get the coil off, I've got to get a 1/4 inch socket and remove this one and this one. And we're gonna set the air gap on this thing using my tried and true favorite method, which is using cut up milk jug strips. All right, so we got that one out. Kind of set it off to the side. Have to have them all the way out, so I'm going to thread this one in a little bit. And we're going to rotate the wheel. See, there's no magnet pulling on it right there. The magnet, as it comes around, is going to grab that, and that's what I'm looking for. Oh, I don't have got the engine brake on. Hang on a second. Okay, it's off a little bit, and that should be enough to turn this. So here comes the magnet. Clunk. So it's gripping it good. You can hear that squeak again. All right, so now let's get our milk jug strips, which are just little narrow, little plastic strips. I'm going to pull this coil towards me. It pops off of the magnet and then put it back. Now I'm going to do this one, push it away from me, and slip that milk jug strip right in there. Okay, so now I've got an air gap, and it's not going to be squeaking. And that spark will travel across the air gap and do what it was supposed to do. See if I can get this one back in where it was supposed to go. Right in there. Okay, lift the screw up and get it back here. Okay. Probably have to redo all that later in terms of the carburetor linkage, but let me go ahead and pull it out again because it's being funky, and to put a wire brush on this thing. And a little dab of oil right there. Okay, now we're going to try it again. I think that's maybe going in a little better. Okay, so now I'm going to try and slip these out. If they don't just slide out, then I'm going to turn the flywheel. That one came out pretty good. Now we're going to do this one. Okay, so listen to this now. See that? No squeaking. That's because we have an air gap. This motor has excellent compression. So that's encouraging. What I mean by that is you turn the flywheel and it gets to the point where the spark would travel across that air gap of the coil, and man, it tightens up. There's that compression, it just pops, you know. Boom. See that? Then it just takes off. All right. So we know it's got a little bit of oil in it. Let's look at the spark plug now. Make sure it's gapped okay, the way it should be. I've seen some weird things on these mowers where people do things to the spark plug. Like they close the gap completely. That's always a fun one. All right, looks pretty good. It's a little damp, but the gap looks okay. Let me check it real quick. So this engine had no gap on the coil, no air gap at all. So that'd be like just completely smashing the gap on the spark plug where there's no gap at all. You gotta have those little gaps where the spark jumps the gap on the spark plug and the coil. And that one's perfect, that's what I thought. So it's at 0.030 or 0.031, right in there. I'm gonna put this plug back in, because it appears to be just fine. Leave the spark plug wire off for now. Now let's check the oil again, see if it has sort of settled down where I can at least get a good reading on it. Man, that looks dry. See, that makes me sad. That makes me very sad. I'll put it in again. Wow. There's no oil in this crankcase. I'm surprised it's not locked up. I think what I'm gonna do is take a chance on this one and put really good oil in there. Sometimes, until I know if these things are gonna be okay, I put crappy oil in them until I know better. This one is leaking oil from somewhere. Could be a blown head gasket. I don't know yet. Muffler is loose, so I'll probably, that's not bad, I've seen worse. So anyway, I think that's enough for now. When you come back, we are gonna continue working on this little Bolens mower. See if we can bring it, Zaza, back to life.